this happened a few days ago. This another disgrace to add to the long list of disgraces these past 6.5 months here. U.S. vetoes Palestinian bid for recognition as full UN member states. The United States blocked the United Nations Security Council on Thursday from moving forward on a Palestinian bid to be recognized as a full member state at the UN, quashing an effort by Palestinian allies to get the world body to back the effort. The vote was 12 in favor of the resolution and 1, the United States, opposed, with abstentions from Britain and Switzerland. The Palestinian envoy to the United States, Riyad Mansour, had described the bid for full member status as an effort to take our rightful place among the community of nations. After the vote, Mr. Mansour, visibly upset, delivered a passionate address asserting the Palestinian people's right to self-determination. So we can take a look here.
Then please raise their hand.
At the veto vote, that's Malta calling the vote here.
Those against?
Here he is, again.
Abstentions?
Britain and Switzerland abstain.
The draft resolution has not been adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council.
Wow.
This vote does not reflect opposition to Palestinian statehood.
Oh, no.
It remains the U.S. view that the most expeditious path towards statehood for the Palestinian people is through direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority with the support of the United States and other partners. We believe this approach can tangibly advance Palestinian goals in a meaningful and enduring way.
Sure. Yeah.
You see a lot of people say, oh, Joe Biden hasn't done anything for black people, but he has clearly started a jobs program for black people voting against Israel at the UN.
Right. He has to use black people to make our policies look as not so racist as they are. Right. Here.
What happened? Token McGinty couldn't take the shame anymore. She quit?
They alternate. All
right.
But here is the Palestinian envoy giving his reaction. Here is Riyad Mansour.
بل أن شعبنا الفلسطيني كافة في كل أماكن تواجده يريد الحياة ويتشبث بها كسائر شعوب الأرض شعب يتوق للحرية والحياة الكريمة والعيش بسلام شعبنا الفلسطيني لن يختفي ولن يندثر.
Okay, now back to the article. Our right to self-determination is a natural right, a historical right to live in our homeland, Palestine, as an independent state that is free and that is sovereign, he said. Israel's foreign minister, Israel Katz, that's a good name for Israel's foreign minister, Israel Katz. Can't think of a better name than that for the foreign minister of Israel.
A little on the nose.
Yeah, a little on the nose. The shameful proposal was rejected. Terrorism will not be rewarded. The Security Council has consistently called for a two-state solution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, a result that has failed to materialize during negotiations between the two sides. Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, said in Tokyo on Friday, oh, that's why she couldn't be there. She was in Tokyo. She was out of town. That the new resolution would not have brought a two-state solution closer. This is unbelievable. The resolution provides for the Palestinian Authority to be a member of the UN, Ms. Thomas-Greenfield told reporters. Right now, the Palestinians don't have control over a significant portion of what is supposed to be their state. It's being controlled by a terrorist organization, she said, referring to Hamas. The United States, along with the 4 other permanent members of the council, can veto any action before it. On Thursday afternoon, during a high-profile council meeting to address issues in the Middle East, including the Palestinian bid for full UN membership, the United States, a staunch ally of Israel's, wielded that veto. The resolution had asked the 15-member Security Council to recommend to the 193-member UN General Assembly that the state of Palestine be admitted to membership of the United Nations, diplomats said. To pass, the application needed to be approved by the Security Council with at least 9 votes in favor and no vetoes by the U.S., Britain, France, Russia, or China. Then at least 2/3 of the General Assembly would have had to approve it. Full Palestinian membership in the UN would be an important, if largely symbolic, victory for the Palestinian Authority, which has long sought a nation state. Had the Palestinian application been accepted, the new status would have brought the privileges of UN membership, including voting rights and a rotating seat on the Security Council. Last slide, and perhaps the most important. Many of the most critical issues regarding a Palestinian state, however, would not have been resolved, including physical borders and recognition by individual countries with which it would have needed to establish diplomatic relations. Israel was admitted as a full UN member in 1949. The Palestinian Authority had been seeking a state made up of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip for decades. Those territories have all been captured or annexed by Israel. So what this report says, rightly, is that admittance to the UN as a fully recognized member state would have been largely symbolic, which means that the gaslighting from the U.S. representatives, Linda Thomas Greenfield and whoever the other guy was, saying, no, we're not against them becoming a state, is just that. It's gaslighting. If it's largely symbolic, why wouldn't you vote for it? Why wouldn't you vote for it as a gesture of goodwill, right? It's not binding. It wouldn't establish physical borders. It would give them a more formally recognized seat at the table. So if you're worried that this is moving too fast or that this is not the time or the way to go about this, there is not going to be, this is largely a symbolic process anyway. And given the fact that Joe Biden himself is on record now as supporting 2 states, why wouldn't you vote for it? Answer, you won't vote for it because you want to signal to Israel that you have their back all day, every day, and that this latest thing with the world's central kitchen seems to amount to nothing more than a hiccup, because ever since the Iran airstrike exchange, if you will, we have been backing Israel staunchly, and now we are vetoing a largely symbolic measure to admit them as a state member to the UN. If you were for this, but you felt like it was moving along too quickly, there's nothing about this resolution that you should veto. This is just a gesture of goodwill. That's basically all this really amounts to at the end of the day, was a gesture of goodwill, and we couldn't even do that.
Well, and also The Intercept ran an article of leaked internal cables of the U.S. As a matter of policy, we oppose a 2-state solution. We oppose a Palestinian state. So any claims, oh, no, we support it, but we feel the party. No, we don't. No, we don't. That's to try to calm down Muslim voters in Michigan. Right. And that's to try to calm down young voters who are not feeling the Biden burn. But we don't actually believe in it. You really want to see the arrogance of empire. You really want to see the arrogance that comes with being a citizen of an imperial power. Do you really believe that every other member of the Security Council has it wrong?
Right.
That all of the other members are wrong-headed and siding with terrorists? Really? Really? And we're the only good ones? What's more likely? That we're the evil here, or that all of the other members that voted for it they're all wrong and we're right? That is imperial arrogance. Because you talk to people, oh, it's complicated. No, it isn't. No, it really isn't. It wasn't so complicated that the other 14 couldn't come to the same conclusion. It's just us.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And time after time after time. Right? Not just an isolated incident, right? Just repeat vetoes. Repeatedly, we are seen as being on a unique side of this. A unique side of this.
Always, every time. We're the only ones vetoing the rights of these victims of colonial and imperial powers. we're always on the other side from the rest of the world. The rest of the world is always wrong? Really? And then you have to ask, and hey, I should have some credibility here. I've had my criticisms of China. But in the end, as an actor in the world, as a member of the family of nations, they tend to be a peacemaking power. They tend to want to tamp down these kinds of tensions, and they tend to be on the right sides of these issues, whereas we are not. This is why I always say a world where China was taking the lead on foreign affairs would, in all likelihood, be a much more peaceful world.
Yeah, and China gave a great speech in response to this vote too. So that's something to think about also, for sure.
Are we the baddies?
Yeah, are we the baddies? Yes, indeed.
Please clap.